The 2009 Heisman finalist class is one that should be remembered forever. Not only were there some great players, not only for college football, but even some would be great NFL players. The finalists for the 2009 Heisman Trophy included Tim Tebow, who won the Heisman the year before, Ndamukong Suh, who happened to be probably the best defensive player in all of college football that season, and definitely one of the all-time greats at the defensive lineman position, Colt McCoy, a legendary Texas quarterback that was the runner-up the season prior, Toby Gerhart, the workhorse back from Stanford that was tearing up college football, and Mark Ingram, who tore it up at Alabama all season as their workhorse back that was able to get it done on the ground and through the air. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about this 2009 Heisman Trophy finalist group and talk about how the 2009 Heisman Trophy voting was the closest ever in Heisman voting history. Before I move on, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. Finishing fifth among all the finalists for the Heisman Trophy that season was Tim Tebow. Now, Tim Tebow was no stranger to the Heisman Trophy, as in fact in 2007 he won the Heisman Trophy, 2008 he finished third, and in 2009, this video that it's on, he finished fifth and was a finalist. He had 390 total votes, 43 for first place, 70 for second place, and 121 for third. He had a great season, as it probably should be mentioned. He was a finalist after all, as in 2009, in 14 games played for the Gators, he led them to a 13-1 record, and their only loss of the season came in the SEC title game to Alabama. He completed nearly 68% of his passes, threw for 2,895 yards, throwing for 21 touchdown passes through the air compared to only 5 interceptions, and being highly efficient on the ground, rushing for a career high of 910 rushing yards and a total of 14 touchdowns on the ground. Finishing fourth in Heisman voting that year was Ndamukong Suh. Ndamukong Suh may be just one of the greatest defensive linemen of all time. And knowing the Heisman Trophy usually goes to offensive players pretty much 9 times out of 10, and usually goes to a quarterback at that, being an interior defensive lineman mainly, Ndamukong Suh making it this far into the Heisman Trophy finalists speaks a lot of his game. And honestly, you can argue that he probably should have been considered even higher on the list. Ndamukong Suh, as in voting goes, had 161 first place votes, 105 second place votes, and 122 third place votes, equaling a total of 815 total votes among all of the voting classes that he had. He had a star career at Nebraska, as in his career, he accumulated 215 total tackles, 49.5 tackles for loss, and 24 total sacks. However, in his Heisman finalist season of 2009, in 14 games played for the Cornhuskers, he had 85 total tackles, 20.5 tackles for loss, 12 sacks, and 1 interception. Ndamukong Suh truly was a different breed in college, as this guy was dominant on every level of the ball, pretty much for the entirety of his college football career. Finishing third in Heisman voting that year was Texas quarterback Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy, as in Heisman voting goes, had a total of 203 first place votes, 188 second place votes, and 160 third place votes. He had a total amount of votes of 1,145. The season prior, Colt McCoy was actually the Heisman runner-up, finishing second place behind Oklahoma quarterback Sam Bradford. Now, Colt McCoy's season in 2009 was not as good as the season in 2008 statistically. However, Texas was going to the national title game and won the Big 12 this season. They would eventually lose the title game to Alabama. However, that's not the case in this whole video talking about his season and being a Heisman finalist. As in 2009, he was a great quarterback, highly efficient, completing nearly 71% of his passes, throwing for 3,521 yards, 27 touchdown passes through the air compared to only 12 interceptions, and he rushed for a total of 348 yards on the ground, along with 3 touchdowns. He had a good year, but ultimately would end up finishing third. If you recall earlier in the video when I said this was the closest Heisman voting race ever, that's because it was, as it was very close between these two running backs right here, Toby Gerhart, Stanford running back, and Alabama running back Mark Ingram. In fact, the margin for the votes from runner-up to Heisman winner between the two was only 28 total votes. But who ended up winning the trophy? The Heisman runner-up for the 2009 Heisman Trophy was Stanford running back Toby Gerhart. He just fell short by 28 votes from being the 2009 Heisman winner. Now, Toby Gerhart received a total of 1,276 votes, 222 of them being first place, 225 being second, and 160 being third place finishers. For the season, Toby Gerhart was an unstoppable running back. Toby Gerhart only had one game in which he did not score a touchdown. Also in that game, he was held just under 100 yards for a total of 82 yards on 17 carries in a Week 2 loss at Wake Forest. However, his season was immaculate. He was quite literally the offense for Stanford, as they had a young quarterback in Andrew Luck who was just a freshman at the time, and they relied on the run game heavy. And of course, when Toby Gerhart was on as big of a run as he was, why would you not feed him? He had 343 total rushing attempts in 13 games played for the Cardinal. He had a total of 1,871 yards on the ground, averaging 5.5 yards per carry, and a total of 28 rushing touchdowns. He was used a little bit in the air as well, as he had 11 receptions for 157 yards on the season. However, he did not have any touchdowns through the air. The Heisman winner for the 2009 college football season was Alabama running back Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram finished first place in voting with a total amount of 1,304 votes, 227 being first place, 236 being second place, and 151 of which being third place votes. For the season, Mark Ingram rushed for a total of 1,658 yards on 271 attempts, averaging just over 6 yards a carry, 17 rushing touchdowns on the ground, and he was used a bit in the pass game, as he had 32 total receptions for 334 yards, averaging just over 10 yards per reception, and having 3 total touchdowns through the air. His biggest statistical game came against South Carolina, as he rushed for 246 yards, averaging just over 10 yards a carry, and having 1 touchdown on the ground. However, you can say his biggest game, as in competition and winning it before the Heisman Trophy, was Florida. As in the SEC title game, he had 3 total touchdowns, for running for 4 yards per carry, having a total of 113 rushing yards against one of the best defenses in all of college football, a team that won the national title the season prior and was undefeated as well. And he had a good game versus them. It was a big reason why Alabama won that game. Mark Ingram ultimately had a great season and would have a great end to his career at Alabama, as he returned for the 2010 college football season, and he finished his career for the Crimson Tide with 3,261 rushing yards and 42 total rushing touchdowns, averaging nearly 6 yards a carry throughout his career as a member of the Crimson Tide football team. Well guys, if you've made it this far in today's video, drop something down in the comment section below what videos you want to see in the future. And if you like this video, do you want to see more videos on this channel that cover specific years and breaking down the Heisman finalists for that specific college football season? For example, the 2017 season, or like I did today, the 2009 college football season. And before you head out, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. B. Kelly out.